I call the meeting to order. Roll call is here. The chairman, Mr. Trudell, Mrs. Cthulhu, Mr. McDonald, and Mr. Gray. Thank you for all coming this evening. Chair, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Mr. McDonald and Mr. Trudell. Public hearing is on the budget. Does anyone have anything they would like to contribute, step forward, say something?
Did you vote?
Okay.
Did you take a vote?
Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair will not recognize the point of order of the moderator. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, please.
I just would like to take this opportunity to say that we've had a little bit of confusion about the time of the special town meeting. Originally, it was supposed to be posted for 8 o'clock. Somehow when the warrant got posted, it was posted for 8 o'clock and 7:30. And this morning I got an email blast that it was at 7 o'clock.
All right.
So just so that you're aware, because it was originally posted at 7:30, the clerk, myself, and town council will be there at 7:30. But we will not do any business until 8 o'clock. So hopefully people will make sure that we do have a quorum by 8 o'clock. But to alleviate the confusion, because it was officially posted at 7:30, we just had to try to rectify it in some way, and that's how today we sort of pulled things together and said we'll be there at 7:30, but we won't do business till 8 o'clock because people have been so notified that it's not until 8 o'clock. So.
Okay.
So 150.
150.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. 150 for financial matters. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm most glad to hear that because I have 250 copies of the warrant that say 8 o'clock.
Oh, yes.
Check out. Okay, so that will help.
Yeah, and so, and unfortunately, it was posted for the same night as the onset fire district meeting. And originally, when we were checking the schedules, there was nothing scheduled on the town schedule. So we were not aware that it was the district meeting that evening. And unfortunately, because of the limitations of when the high school was available, because we're now into graduation and prom time, we only had a limited number of evenings to pick from. And also based on my availability, the town clerk's availability, because we have to be there. Although the deputy moderator could always step in, but it ended up that that was the night that was the first choice, and then we had a second night in the event we didn't finish or something came up. We just had a very limited choice to pick from.
If I may, what's the second night, just in case we don't?
23rd.
The 23rd, okay. And if we don't achieve a quorum that night?
I think the next one will be June 18th.
Okay. Everybody mark it on the calendar, please make every effort to be there. Our head, our
Yeah,
head
and
count will
it
help.
should be a fairly quick meeting. I mean, I'm hopeful that we could probably do it in less than an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe even a half hour.
Is the first day the 21st or the 22nd?
21st, Monday the 21st.
Okay.
So this shouldn't go a second day.
It shouldn't go more than an hour at the very most. I'm hopeful we could do it in a half hour. If we stick to the issues, there's very little that should be controversial.
That's a big if.
Any other comments with the public hearing?
Make a motion to close.
A motion to close. Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 5 shows up. Special town meeting matters, I think we basically just covered it, although there is a little bit of confusion now over how the motion for Article 4 will be written. I'll try to work that out so we don't have any problems. there was some discussion about possibly not putting it up because we were gonna transfer it out of FinCom. I don't think that'll work.
Yeah.
So it may be rewritten as a set of transfers. We'll try to work it out to make sure we have no problems on the town meeting floor.
Will we talk
So that
about
we can get out of there in 30 minutes to an hour.
Will we talk about it before town, I mean, whatever decision they come to, we'll be notified, right?
Oh, yes, I can send notification out to you, you just probably won't be able to discuss it. Every effort will be made to try to ensure that we follow the charter, the bylaws, and common sense.
There's that key one, common sense.
Common sense.
Yes,
All right, committee business for tonight. We did receive one application, new application, for membership on the committee, from September McCarthy. I think I sent everybody a copy by email. Mrs. McCarthy, you're here. Would you like to come up and speak a little bit as to your interest in the FinCom? Then we'll interrogate, we'll question that.
I plead the fifth.
If you give us a little bit of your background, your interest.
Okay, a little bit of a background. I earned my bachelor's degree in mathematics way back. And since that time have about 30 years of professional experience, first 15 or so, in starting in accounting, working up through management, and into the computer field through that. Then the next 15, applying those skills and knowledge in the investment industry. Investments, actually, John Hancock funds, working with portfolio managers and doing quantitative analysis of securities, creating models, and tracking, searching for new securities that might be interested, tracking the securities they already own in and out of those models, etc. All of that requires a lot of financial analysis of the underlying companies, etc. And also at that time I was working in risk management too, within the investment industry, and am now working in operational risk management within the banking industry. Again, applying computer skills to that, but anyway, as a result, I have a lot of financial background and hope that it can be of use. And I also have a desire to learn more about how the town's finances work, about how the finance committee works, about everything regarding it, and hopefully my insight and abilities will be able to help both the finance committee and the town work through some of the problems we all know are coming up and that we face. So.
Any questions specifically?
No.
Mr. Gray?
I'm curious, and I have not read your resume, that's my problem, but I've been away and I just got back, so.
That's okay, I don't think I included my resume
Well, maybe a
be happy to.
background, no. When you say you're working with risk management with banks at this point, are you working for the government or as a consultant to various banks?
I work in the banking industry. I work for Citizens Financial Group, which is a division of RBS,
Yep.
Royal Bank of Scotland, and they own Citizens Bank and Charter One, etc. The actual department that I work in, which is operational risk management, does all the reporting for the Americas up through Scotland, etc. But the nice thing there is that they also do believe in and do a lot of cross-training, so that we're not isolated to understanding and being knowledgeable about just operational risk management. Within that industry, there are now 6 different types of risk management. There's regulatory risk, there's credit risk, there's wholesale credit risk, market risk, operational risk, of course, and the newest one is environmental risk. And so they all fit into a large picture of how to make those business and how they allow for those, account for, consider, and work to mitigate those risks.
Very interesting background, thank you.
Thanks.
You just said what I was going to say, very interesting background. I think risk management is something that can be really helpful with what we're doing. There's obviously a lot of risk in this town. No, I think it's a great background. Thank you.
Thanks.
David?
I'm fine.
You're fine? Mr. McCarthy, we have a very busy schedule, all right? And I think in the past, we've been a little remiss in advising people as to the amount of time that the FinCom takes up, all right? We sort of lean back a little in July and August, meet only once, but then after that, we meet at least twice a month, and then we're probably, I'd say, for the good 10 weeks prior to town meeting, we meet weekly. All right, and the meetings have a tendency to run quite long, usually about 3 hours. Is that a problem for you, or will you be able to do that? And also there's preparation work as well.
As long as the majority of it is in the evenings, I'm fine. I do work full-time. And I work in outside of Providence, so it's a good trek every day. But I usually am there by about 7 o'clock in the morning, so I can get out of there by about 4 or 5 in the afternoon.
Okay. We have 2 very significant meetings. One that occurs in December, which is an all-day session with the school department.
Okay.
And we have in January an all-day session with the department heads. All right, would you be able to have any consideration for those? Or?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, to tell you the truth, I've actually discussed this with my manager already, just to assure them and myself that there is no conflict of interest going on here. It's one of the things we're trained in extensively, along with ethics, etc. You know, there are annual certifications that as a bank employee you have to take. And, you know, and he is totally accepting of the fact that there might be an occasional day off I might have to take in order to accommodate that schedule.
Have you had an opportunity to review the charter to see what the role of the finance committee is?
Oh yeah, I've read the charter several times for various reasons, and the bylaws, and I understand that.
How do you feel about our role?
Oh, boy.
I think that...
This is going to be a long
I actually haven't come to any conclusions about that yet.
Okay. That's a nice safe statement.
With any committee within a town, finance committee is, per the charter, supposed, you know, has a very important role to play in the town. I have observed over the last couple of years how that can be made more easy for you or more difficult for you, depending on the other people involved. I look forward, as everybody does right now, optimistically to the future of how things function, and I think that you know, there's a lot of potential there.
Are you familiar with the open meeting laws?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see any problem with those? And you fully understand email's a problem as well as anything else?
No problem with that. I understand that emails between us are only supposed to be pertaining to the time and place of meetings, maybe setting the agenda. I'm not sure about whether or not it can include that or not, but really we're not supposed to discuss things outside of the meeting. You know, I mean, those are pretty straightforward and common sense kind of things, and I understand the reason for them. I don't think I'll have any problem complying with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you blog?
No.
Yeah?
No.
You probably read my blog somewhere.
I think that question should be disallowed
That question is disallowed.
because it's a horrible question and it leads to bad decisions.
But I
That was it for Mr. McDonald.
It's a long story.
you probably read some of my items on Wareham Week, and I've certainly not been reticent about expressing my opinion, but I also don't express an emotional opinion. It's more an analysis of these are the facts as I see it, or as my research has turned up. I understand as if I were to be a member of the Finance Committee that there would be implications that would have to be observed. You know, my blogging at that point would basically focus primarily on the Historical Society and my activities with them. As well, you know, and also you should know, just in the interest of full disclosure, I am going to be a pretty busy lady because I'm also writing a book. The Historical Society and myself have been contracted by a publisher to write a book on Wareham locals. But I've scheduled all that in, and that I don't see any problem with that. And that'll be done in November, so we'll be clear for December and January.
You are aware, as a member of the Finance Committee, you can belong to no other committees in the town.
Correct, but the Wareham Historical Society is not a town committee.
Okay, I'm just saying, just to make sure that we don't get into some overlaps.
It was
Or
part
some
of
accidentals.
it was a serious consideration on my part because I am interested in some others, but I feel that my background would be most useful here above any of the other committees that I could potentially serve on.
Anyone else have any questions?
No.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
At some point, I know that the appointing authority as well will ask you to come in for an interview, so
I think I've been asked for tomorrow morning, so
it's fine.
as a matter of fact, that addresses your other question. My manager said, fine, you can work from home tomorrow because you have this meeting to go to. So I have flexibility.
You sound like you have a good boss.
Oh, I do. I do. Thank you.
Yep. We already covered the recommendation for the 2-year. The 3-year, I'm going to hold off until June, because that's literally when we do go to the appointing authority, so we don't lame duck anyone. All right, I think that's the most appropriate, and also in case we have any more applications come in for the position. We'll continue to advertise as best we can. Next item is new business. I just want to bring something up real quick. It wasn't on here because I just received the information through Beacon, but I think it's something that we're going to have to give some consideration to, and that is the formula for the state aid. According to the House, they're going to attempt to modify it. And one of the ways we're going to modify it is on the surplus. Instead of sending us a certain 50% one year and 50% the next year, they're talking about deducting $25 million and putting it up for CPA funds, all right, to replace the drop that's occurred in the deeds, all right, the funds they're receiving from there. Well, it's good for CPA, but for the town, all right, a $25 million drop, if I did it on a prorated basis with a $65 million, it would mean that our 121 would have dropped to like 98. All right, there's also been a change in the law as well, where a town can elect to limit the what do we call it? It's over and above the taxes. It's a surcharge.
Levy?
It's a surcharge is what it is. The surcharge can be limited to 1%, all right, and you can do up to 2% from revenues available from the rest of the town budget, etc. These are all things we may want to talk about with CPA going forward. They're probably going to come up. However, there's also a positive that seems to be out there as well, and that is that open space money will now be available to use for playgrounds and recreational facilities, which it wasn't before. It was very limited before. To the case of if you met all the right criteria, you could create or build a recreational space, all right, but you couldn't repair or provide any maintenance or anything else. And it appears that that is going to modify, which for our school playgrounds all could use a lot of work.
Well, that was a problem with a lot of stuff.
I
Like
know.
the ball fields and stuff up there, it was like, well, that's nice, we can put them in, but they couldn't pay to maintain them.
This has been passed by the House,
Wonderful.
and I guess 26 senators are sponsoring the bill, which is enough to pass it in the Senate.
Great.
And then we'll see what the governor does. But the other concern for us is we're looking at probably, whatever goes there through this comes out of our state aid.
Great.
Okay.
So that's an ouch. We just need to make sure, try to
Also,
encourage CPA to put it in the right places. All right, I just want to bring it because it's a subject that we'll be discussing right along. The other one is we need to start taking a close look at pensions again, because we're going to see another surcharge in pensions. And I also heard today that we're getting very close to settling, or negotiating, not settling, but negotiating an agreement with the Teamsters. If that happens, I'm not sure how that will be dealt with, whether it probably fall to the fall town meeting unless they manage to do something by a week from Monday. So that might be another surprise, I'm not sure, but it's something we should all be thinking about. And the Teamsters, by the way, are the department heads. Okay, anyone else know of anything? I didn't schedule any liaison reports or anything.
Can I pontificate about something that has probably not that much to do with the finance
We don't
committee?
allow pontificating anymore. What's the subject?
The onset Escape the Cape triathlon, just to see if people wanna,
Oh,
should
you're
show.
welcome to announce it.
Well, that's June 2nd, and also on June 3rd, there's going to be a women's only event, which is gonna be a first. And for onset, they're gonna have the combined on Saturday the 2nd, and the 3rd is going to be the women's only. And I would encourage you to attend, because there'll be a team of local people participating in the first day on the 2nd. And the second day, if anybody feels like volunteering, Max Performance has asked for volunteers. So we're putting together a list of volunteers, and if you feel like coming out and working the event, I know. Hey, just,
Johnny.
well, you gotta come out on the 2nd.
Is that a community event?
For me, it is.
Is that a community event?
Not that
You guys, have they not?
Who's our rep?
involves me running fast anyway.
All right, we'll be back.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anyone have anything? Before we go to, we need to approve the minutes for April 4th.
So moved.
Are you here?
Any discussion, corrections?
No.
Was he here?
Hold on one second.
Yes.
Yes, he was. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions, 500. April 11th. April 11th. Mr. Trudell and Mrs. Cattouli, you were both absent.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, second?
Second.
Discussion, corrections?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 300.
302.
302, I'm sorry.
Minor detail.
Minor detail.
He's
I'm
rushing
trying
through
to,
it.
I'm trying to move right along here.
You're not
Minutes
going
for April 23rd.
I was there.
Mr. Cadell, you weren't here. Everyone else was. And I have a motion
So
to
moved.
approve. So moved, second.
Go ahead, Bonnie.
Second.
Any discussion, corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 401. And May 2nd, we finally read in the right month, right? Okay. Motion to accept the minutes from May 2nd. Mr. Gray, you weren't here that night.
Second.
So moved, second from Mr. McDonald. Any corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 401.
You done?
Okay, our next meeting, we have town meeting in 2 weeks. I don't see any reason to meet prior to that unless anybody sees any really serious pressing need. And we're looking at probably the next meeting would be the first week in June. And no one has any problems with that? All right, we'll figure out the first week in June. Probably meet only twice that month. I'd like to get in that early too, because I want to get the recommendation for the 3 years so that we can meet. And we'll probably meet the 6th and the 13th. And the 13th, we'll probably do our reorganization election for the coming year. And that'll be it for the month.
We're meeting the 21st, correct?
For, of
A
what?
special town meeting
Yes,
prior to
yes.
at 7.
No, I don't think we need to. We don't have any reason to meet.
All right, so I'll post that then.
Even if there's the change to that article?
Well, if we're not gonna do anything till 8 o'clock, we can meet at 7:30 and sit around and wait until 8 o'clock.
Just go with the narrows first.
You're on TV.
Pardon?
Say it loud.
Would you say the 6th and the 13th?
We're close to that, the 7th. Let me correct myself, because there is a potential that we might have to meet at 7 o'clock because of the contract. So let's stick with the 7 o'clock,
Okay.
6th and the 13th of June, right?
right?
Okay,
And 21st of May,
May 21st.
prior at 7 o'clock.
You can always cancel, I mean, if we
I
don't.
can always cancel, yes.
I assume the 6th and the 13th are at 6:30 or whatever.
Yes. Yeah, there's the 7 o'clock, and we usually do it in the auditorium, I'm sorry, in the
Cafeteria.
cafeteria. At 7. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Thank you for reminding me. Almost forgotten, that would have been tragic. And, that's about it, unless anyone else has, I have nothing else on the agenda. Mrs. Smith.
Sorry, I just have one more thing that came to my mind. You, as far as the motions go, you may find that you may get them at the very last minute. I believe Derek's gonna try to do 2 motions depending upon if there's contract settlements, and the Board of Selectmen have to meet just prior to town meeting to approve something. Whatever way that goes, there may be a change in the motion, so you may get 2 sets of motions for a couple of articles and then get the final one just a few minutes before.
I had a discussion with Mr. Sullivan today and reminded him that our stance basically is if we don't have numbers ahead of time, we won't vote in favor of anything. And he should remind everybody of that so that they don't walk in at 6 o'clock and say, oh, by the way, we have a settlement.
Well, I don't think the mediation is scheduled until the 17th. And so after the mediation, then the board has to meet to approve that, whatever the result of the mediation, and that most likely won't happen until the night of town meeting, so.
As I said, you've seen what we've written in the warrant. If we don't have any information, we surely won't recommend anything. So thank you for the information. Just as you talk to them, just reminding FinCom to say that they want the contract and the information beforehand when they have an adequate amount of time, not a last minute push through, all right, where everything is uncertain. It just doesn't make sense. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And it's not fair to the public either, not fair to the voters, to walk in on that night and put a motion on the floor that they've never seen before. So I'll try to reemphasize that over the next few days with everybody from us. Everybody agree with that, by the way?
I just, one question about that, because if it's mediation, then if it's settled through mediation, there's really nothing we are going to be able to do to change that, correct? I mean, we can not like it or like it, it's mediation. Is it binding? It's not binding? Okay, that was my question, it's
It's
not
not
binding.
arbitration. You could come back unfavorable to something.
Okay, that was, yeah, so I agree with you.
Arbitration is binding.
Right.
Thank you. Sorry to put that message out, but
No, I mean,
it's just
the
making
motion is
sure-
either gonna be I move favorable or I move indefinite postponement, but I just want you to know, I don't know which it will be, and it won't be until the last minute that we'll know.
Yeah, because, I mean, I think we were pretty thorough with the police department and pretty thorough with the library. In fairness to them and to other contracts that have come to us, I think we have to be thorough with these. If they arrive at the last minute,
So,
I'll discuss it with, beyond Mr. Sullivan, plus Mr. Foster and Mr. Holmes. Okay. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Mr. Gray, who's louder than Mr. McDonald.
that's fine. Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0.
I'm off the
We
floor.
are adjourned.